And welcome to the Factor Uncensored. First up on the Factor Uncensored, a justified shooting or another case of execution by cop. A Baytown police officer shoots and kills a woman while attempting to arrest her. Police say while the officer was trying to handcuff 44-year-old Pamela Turner, she took his taser and used it on him. At one point, she yells out, "I'm pregnant," but we have since learned that was not the case. Take a look at the disturbing video.
Pop.
And of course, we covered that part. It's just so disturbing. I saw it at about 1 in the morning and just could not sleep. The officer lived in the same apartment complex with Turner, and they've had run-ins before. Family members and neighbors also say she suffered from mental illness. The Baytown Police Department is investigating. Joining us here to discuss this, community activist Derek Muhammad, activist and community activist Tex Christopher, Houston City Council member and former HPD officer Mike Knox, attorney Isiah messing up your name, and I've known you for years, Evangelista, and Baton Rouge activist, author Silky Slim Reed. We want to welcome you all to the Factor Uncensored. Glad to have you on the show. This is very, very disturbing, Isiah. When you saw this video, and you, like I did, saw the unedited video with the gunfire, your thoughts on this situation?
You know, it was gut-wrenching. It was hard to watch, but we've been seeing so many of these type of videos recently, lately. And I don't know if it's just a systematic attempt on just the image of a black woman being brutalized. You know, we're seeing a lot of assaults on social media of black women being brutalized. But this, nonetheless, is very gut-wrenching, and it affects all of us. It affects all of us.
Tex Christopher, you are from a Gold Star family, meaning your uncle was shot and killed as a police officer several years ago. When you see this video, what do you see from your perspective?
I see disobedience. I see someone not submitting unto the authority of the badge. And that's the problem that we have here. And when you have her kicking and tasing him, and it's his life that is in danger. And bottom line is this: her rights end where his rights begin. And his job is to sit there and enforce the law. And that's why we have the law. So you're either on the right side of the law or you're on the wrong side of the law. But the choice is up to you. And at the end of the day, she made her choice.
Arthur, you drove here from Baton Rouge when you saw this video on social media. You're an activist there. You had to get involved. When you saw this, your thoughts on this situation?
When you see this type of action, then I tell many people that we cannot overlook that the Ku Klux Klan is in fully effect with this. And people always say comply or die, but you don't see them killing white people like this. So there was a video that came out right after this video of a white guy fighting a police officer hand-to-hand combat, and he didn't feel for his life with that. So when you see that, then you have to realize that this is a serious attack on black people. This is a modern day lynching, and this is a organization. When he says that his rights started when hers stopped, what you see happening, and you talk about the justice system, that's what we're realizing today. The criminal justice system is exactly that, a justice system that's being ran by a bunch of damn criminals.
Let's bring in Council Member Mike Knox, former HPD. Is there a double standard when it comes to blacks and whites dealing with police officers from your perspective?
I really don't think so. I think there's a difference of opinion or difference of perspective, really. I think in this particular case, I'm not investigating this case. I don't know anything about it other than the basic principles. The facts that we have is that the officer was aware of a warrant or warrants that the lady had. She resisted his arrest, and it ensued. What disturbs me the most, though, is we have people standing by with a video, with a camera, who could have gone to the officer's aid to help subdue the woman and keep her alive, and they would rather have a video of a police shooting than insert themselves and try to assist that woman in the first place. That's one of the things that disturbs me the most about this. We've got to become a society where we'd rather watch the violence occur than step in between and get between the violence.
Derek, would you recommend someone stepping in between a police officer and someone that he's trying to subdue to try and stop it, or record it?
I do recommend intervention over recording, especially when you see the victim, a defenseless, unarmed black woman who could be your mother or your aunt. Let's be real. There are two Americas. He lives in one and I live in another. In the America that I live in, Pam Turner was the victim and not the perpetrator. What they're trying to do is turn the victim into the perpetrator by muddying up her name and putting her mugshot on across the television screen.
And really quick, just to let you know, we've made the conscious decision to get rid of that mugshot.
And I really appreciate that, because this is the same old playbook that law enforcement uses every time. He claims that he fears for his life. They suspend him for, well, they let him go a few days without pay. He'll be in Cancun next week. And then they muddy up the victim to try to make the victim look like the perpetrator. We're talking about a woman who was she had a history of mental illness. Police departments are supposed to have responders who come and deal with people like this. This cop knew who he was dealing with, and he understood her condition. He had no business approaching her the way he approached her. He should have called the proper personnel to come and deal with a person who has a mental illness, and I feel like he had murder in his heart for her from the jump. So what we have to find out is, if they had previous encounters, what did those previous encounters entail? Because real talk, had he shot a dog 5 times like that, there would be a worldwide outcry from his America. But he did not shoot a dog. He shot a beautiful black woman who was a human being. And in our America, black America, brown America, the America that demands justice for the least, the last, and the lost, we're going to get justice for that sister.
Sadia, let's bring you into this conversation. If they had past dealings and he knew about her mental state and mental health issues, what should happen in this case?
The full weight of the law needs to be on top of him. He needs to be charged with murder. It was premeditated. He knew this woman. He knew what he was going to do. You know, he alleges that she turned around, or she tried to stop him and use his own taser on him. What kind of officer would allow someone, a woman at that, use the taser? No, he knew this woman had past dealings, had some animosity towards her. Regardless of what her mental condition was, that was just overkill. One bullet, subdue her, make her into compliance, but what his intention was to kill on the spot.
Let's bring Tex in really quick.
Go ahead,
Derek, because we're
bottom line is this: it doesn't matter what any of us say. It only matters what the law says. The law is the one thing,
and that was against the law. And that what he did was against the law. That was murder. That was not justifiable homicide.
Well, the problem is that those who claim to enforce the law believe that they are above the law. You want to talk about laws? Pam Turner had just as many rights as that police officer, whether you believe it or not.
So she said,
hell no, her rights don't end.
His authority.
No, his rights don't begin where hers end, because hers do not end. Not only did she have civil rights, she had rights as a disabled person with mental challenges.
Okay.
Let me just calm everybody down a little bit here. What we're doing is we're getting in the minds of the officer and the woman, and we don't really have any basis for that.
We have a video. We have
got
proof.
A video,
we
but
see
don't,
exactly what happened.
We're speaking to the intent of the officer, which we cannot have any knowledge of.
We're speaking to the facts that we saw on a live video.
Well,
that's what we're speaking to. You can't spin this. You can't spin
20 seconds.
Something that
20 seconds. There'll be 6 investigations on this
with
officer.
5 shots. There were 5 shots that killed that woman. 5 shots. And that's what we do.
Would you have shot her 5 times when you were a police officer?
I'm not there.
Would you have shot her 5 times?
If I felt like it was necessary.
That's what I thought. Now, Arthur, since you drove all the way here from Baton Rouge, your thoughts on this and in the last 30 seconds.
When you don't see it happening to others, then you have to realize that something is wrong with the mind of the individuals who is pulling the trigger. So just like Derek said, there's two Americas, we already know that. But at the end of the day, they are murdering us in the streets, and they're always talking about the law, and the law needs to be changed, because what they have put in place right now is a free will to kill black folks anywhere in America that they find them, and they're exercising. So when you look at the Klan that's in effect right now from the White House on down, you see this action taking place, because this is damn near a new civil war. This is a continuation of the civil rights struggle that we have been through, dealing with the same beast that we've been dealing with for the past 60 years.
This is the new Jane Crow.
And for the record, we're not surprised at your lack of compassion.
We're out of time, guys. So we'll be back with more Factor Uncensored.